I am Great Mother, Holy Spirit, Yin, Divine Mother, Cosmic Womb, Deep Space, the Moon, Dark Matter, the Void, the Black Hole.
Hi everybody, Tammy here. Wanted to do an intro video for your January full moon readings because this is a special full moon. It is a total lunar eclipse. That means that this full moon, the sun will be completely eclipsing the moon. So that sun energy is shining forth very brightly in Capricorn, Aquarius energy. Now in Sidereal, the sun is in Capricorn, and in the Western, it's in Aquarius. And so we're having this very powerful total lunar eclipse with the moon in Cancer, Leo. This is all about the collective planetary consciousness moving forward in its evolutionary progression. That's what eclipses are. Astrologers really aren't known for talking about them very much other than their technical aspects, which is very important to understand. The sun travels along its ecliptic, its route through the constellations, and Great Mother, who's always circling us, who's always circling the earth, as she revolves around the earth and the sun is going through the constellations, she travels around the sun with the earth, okay? And there are certain points at which they meet at the ecliptic every 18 months. And this is called in the Western astrology the North and South nodes, and in the Sidereal, Rahu and Ketu. The North Node, or Rahu, is the direction in which the soul is evolving, and the South Node, or Ketu, is the direction from which the soul has come. Qualities that the soul needs to release in order to evolve into its new established state. Well, establishment is relative. We are traveling this journey together, and individually it may take many, many lifetimes for the energies to actually stabilize and be established. But the point is, eclipses are more within the domain of Great Mother energy, the intuitive and the emotional, which is what we focus on here. Great Mother energy, the Holy Spirit, the Yin, that still small voice, our intuition has been very, very active since the total solar eclipse, August 21st. Solar eclipses, in fact, are the opposite. They are when the moon eclipses the sun. Okay, and so total solar eclipses are new moons, and they're new moons on steroids. So that seeding that we were just talking about this past new moon reading, that seeding, that getting together what you're going to plant for whatever season it is we were just talking about for the year, and January, the Capricorn new moon, but it may be just for a lunar season, or it may just be for a couple of days. Whatever it is that you're seeding, that you are planning to do, that you are thinking about, is what the new moon is about. And so the total solar eclipse, which was in Cancer, Leo, the moon, the lunar energy was in Cancer in the Sidereal, and Leo in the Western, but both suns were in Leo. So a very powerful sun during that total solar eclipse. Leo, the most powerful sun this planet could possibly have. It's 100 suns. The power of 100 suns was eclipsed by Mother Moon, okay, in Cancer and in Leo. The only water we had in all of that fire, and of course Leo is ruled by the sun, power on steroids. It in fact was the eclipse the world stopped to watch because of that, and because it crossed from coast to coast across the United States. Now, this crossing was very important because it marked the message that Great Mother was sending directly to the epicenter of the monetary and military nexus of the planet. And what she was saying is that it's time for us to look at our domestic situation, the way we are mothering and nurturing our children, and the insecurities we have around that. New moon or total solar eclipses are all about what Great Mother is wanting us to look at. She, in fact, is eclipsing the sun in order to pull out its shadows. And so for a very powerful sun, such as this Leo sun during that total solar eclipse, which was also in the Maha nakshatra in the Sidereal astrology. Maha is the most mature nakshatra. It is in 0 to 13.2 degrees. Remember, the moon travels through the constellations, taking approximately 2.5 days per constellation. And the sidereal astrology, it breaks that down even further to 3 basic energies within each of those constellations that the moon is traveling in. Well, in the constellation of Leo, at the very beginning, 0 to 13.2 is Maha. It is a very evolved Leo energy because it is ruled by Ketu, the south node. In fact, Ketu is there in this nakshatra to pull out the immature aspects of Leo, the undeveloped aspects of Leo, rendering this nakshatra a very dignified, a very paternal Leo energy. It is in fact the secure, established king on its throne. The king that is very family and community oriented, that stores up its wealth in order to fairly and lovingly distribute it. It is that energy of Leo, the highest evolved state of Leo. Again, Ketu, the south node, they're ruling this nakshatra in Leo to pull out that immaturity. This is where the sun was in the sidereal, and the sun was in Leo in the Western astrology. So when we look at the sun and we're talking about Great Mother energy, Great Father energy is the law, the word, the logos. And so the word coming forward about what to do, okay, the word, the law is what is right, what is wrong. It's action oriented. And so the law that was coming forward was express, do, activate, mature Leo energies, secure, bountiful energies of Leo. This energy of Leo that is the sun child of the cosmos, that does the constellational dance, that knows it is a divine child of the Great Mother Father God. Indeed, that is where the monarchies of all time have emerged from, a belief that a family was from the divine, and that is what gave it the authority to rule over others. And so to be able to claim that energetically within ourselves is to be able to say that, okay, this Leo in the Western astrology is responding to that solar energy in a way that says, I'm ready to take it on. I'm ready to embrace this. They were completely aligned. So this alignment was there. Leo is the north node in the Western astrology at this time, the direction that the ego, the earth-centered consciousness, the collective consciousness wants to go, is in the Leo direction, is in that direction of playfulness that is meaningful, of childbearing and families that is nurturing and caring and completely paternalistic in terms of authority and responsibility. We're ready to go. And then here comes Great Mother energy that says, oh, new moon, total lunar eclipse. What do we need to look at here? What shadows do we need to pull out of that sun? And the shadows in Cancer and in Leo had to do with home on a soul level, the soul group that's around us, that we incarnated with, or that we have brought into this dimension. What is our relationship like with them? Great Mother was saying, yes, we're ready to go forward, right? Okay, we're ready to completely take care of one another and be family oriented. Okay, that's good. That's good. So what about this over here? What about how we really are dealing with our families? How about how we really are emotionally dealing with our issues in a way that we can give from a bounty instead of taking from an emotional lack? And so the sidereal in Cancer being the only water with all the Leo, because the Leo in the Western astrology and the lunar was emotionally responding to that, saying, hey, but what about me? You know, this is what I want to do. I want to move on. I want to express myself in loving and fun ways. I want to. And what happened with the total solar eclipse was that the shadows that came out of that, from that occurrence happening, both actually and internally and intuitively, was that the thought form was established that there were some areas of insecurity with how the planetary consciousness was dealing with its family relationships. These insecurities since that time have been manifested as addictions, as problems in the home that have gone out into the collective consciousness, into the collective experience, such as sexual abuse, scams. We're talking about a lot since that time. We're talking about opiate addiction and the neglect of children as a result of that. All of these things have come out for us to look at. That's what total solar eclipses do. Great Mother pulls from the light the shadow that's really underneath it, the underbelly jelly, for us to look at. And so if since that time what has come from the collective consciousness has repulsed us, what is really happening beneath that, if you've had a reading from me or any other person, or you've had your chart done or anything like that, every message since that time, every YouTube video that you've watched since that time, that has been since the total lunar eclipse, has been pointing us toward where those qualities exist within us. Because all of it begins at home, doesn't it? The sexual abuse, these people that do this, the Olympics man, doctor, and all of these celebrities that are being put up and up, these people, it started at home. It started at home for them. Or someone who was trusted within that root chakra, that tribal family group. And so what we have been challenged to do is to take a look at those shadows, because as we embrace our divinity as children of the Great Mother, Father God, knowing that we're never judged or alone, we begin to see things with awareness. And we take information in as something to make us even more conscious of our divinity, something that reconstitutes us and builds resilience, and allowing for us to be empowered divine children, not just in word, but in actual experience and deed. And so we can see by our experiences with abandonment and abuse in our own experiences that if we see them with awareness, we know that they have made us stronger if we've worked with the issues around it. If you would like to know more about this and the coaching that I specialize in, which inspired Great Mother Speaks Oracle decks and readings, you can go to greatmotherspeaks.info and click the image of Mama Drama Trauma. Mama Drama Trauma is a condition in which the mother projects unhealed aspects of herself onto her child, causing emotional and or physical abuse. In my practice in working with people, the first thing we must determine is whether or not the mother is able, willing, or available to heal. Okay, whether she's able to acknowledge the abuse, which is very difficult to do, because in doing that, she also has to acknowledge the abuse that she has experienced, either through Mama Drama Trauma or Daddy Drama Trauma. So it's a cycle. Just as all of these readings are, they feed one into the other. And just as the cycles have been since the total solar eclipse of last year, that was a seed planted because the moon that eclipsed the sun was in the nakshatra of Alesha. Remember, the sun was in the nakshatra of Magda, that mature Leo. Well, the Cancer in the Sidereal that eclipsed it in Alesha was a nakshatra of exceedingly disruptive and turbulent Cancer energies. It's the most insecure and unbalanced Cancer energy that exists. And it's an energy that allows a person to have a serpentine type nature. In fact, in many Hindu cultures, they are referred to as those with snake eyes in actual physical continents that can be quite hypnotic. But as with all things, what we give out is what we receive. And so they are very easily hypnotized. This energy is a highly hypnotic type of energy. The illusion of the world is extremely intense. This physical world, the feeling of it is that is all that there is in absolution. There is extreme attachment to things and to people, chaos and emotional entanglements with things. Again, that serpentine nature, just being wrapped up in oneself and entwining people in the dramas that they seem to experience on a consistent basis because of this insecurity. This energy has maternal issues. It's Cancer energy. It has issues with mother love. It has issues with conditional love, love being based on if you do this, then this, and that really being the attitude of that person. That's where they are in their evolution. That's what they actually believe. So when this person has a child, many times there may be postpartum depression and this type of energy because the child is supposed to give me something. But we know when we first have an infant, all they need is to be cared for. They need. And it's very difficult for this energy to reconcile. So one of the things that we want to look at with the total solar eclipse, with the total lunar eclipse, is that those insecurities, dealing with addictions, which is basically fear avoidance, again, just kind of running away, running away with our own selfish needs, our own conditional needs, and not making the connection between the reality of that in the illusionary world and the deeper reality of who we are as divine children of the great Mother, Father, God, who are in fact here shining a light that is greater than that is just a part of it, and in fact a part to be healed within it, to be resolved within it. And so the lesson with the total solar eclipse that we want to take into all that has happened, all that we've been able to integrate from that in the months since, is learning to notice and validate our own feelings, value our vulnerabilities. Everybody's trying to be so tough and I hustle and I can do this and I love myself and that kind of thing. It has been resisting our feminine side, and our feminine side knows the difference between taking charge of our emotions and trying to control them. That's what was brought up to look at during that new moon. Those were the seeds that were thrust upon this nation. Look at this. Look at these seeds. Are these the seeds that you want to plant going forward? Into this military monetary complex? Is this what we want to continue perpetuating out into the world? Look at this. Look at where your divinity can be honored, because we are divine children of the great Mother, Father, God. We're not seen as weak or victims who have no power. We are seen as gods and goddesses, as we see, in the deck. We are seen the same. Akhenaten, Ishtar, Mave, Adi Shakti, we are seen as gods and goddesses, and so the illusion that we are not is something that we hold on to. And each of these energetic ecliptical cycles are assisting us to evolve beyond that. So taking that knowledge of what was seeded then to look at into the total lunar eclipse of what to let go, because that's what full moons on steroids, lunar eclipses, do. They are cosmic purges. If the solar eclipse was a cosmic reset button, take a look at this, reset, stop, then this lunar eclipse is the cosmic purge, releasing everything that is an impediment, that is an obstacle to us being able to lovingly assert our most mature caregiving nature on the planet. Now, Cancer is where Rahu is in the Vedic. That's the north node in the Sidereal astrology, and that is where the moon is for this full moon. It's in Leo in the Western astrology, and this is telling us that the intuitive downloads that we are receiving from the soul are all about that Cancer energy again. That's why we know it's a revisitation from the solar eclipse. This total lunar eclipse is in the nakshatra of Pusha. Pusha is ruled by Saturn, and so this Saturn energy in Cancer is all about being real about what matters to us at home, in our closest intimate relationships, in our domestic environment, in our relationships with our mothers and with our children. It is very important that in this particular period where the moon is being eclipsed by the sun, that we look at the shadows behind it, because the ego is emotionally responding to these downloads by uploading Leo energy. The ego is still charging, wanting to go forward with that Leo energy of enjoying its life, of perhaps even being really creative and productive in its life, you know, in terms of these domestic issues. It's wanting to enjoy its home life. And so that type of dynamic that is going on is really making us look at, what does that mean for us to enjoy ourselves at home? I'm not going to be able to determine this based on what other people say or what other people think, which is traditionally what we do in our home and our family life, because things again happen in cycles. And so we do what our forefathers have done. We do what our mother did. We do what people around us do. And so really actually getting into our intuitive space and aligning with what is truly meaningful for us is what this total lunar eclipse is all about, because the sun here is in Capricorn, Aquarius. The Capricorn sun in the sidereal is in Shravana. That nakshatra is ruled by the moon, and so it is a lunar energy that has come up with this Capricorn, which is in the south node or Ketu of the sidereal. And so the sun is eclipsing this moon with the energy that is pulling out from the shadow, from the solar eclipse, the message of what to let go of. And so what needs to be released as far as Capricorn ruled by the moon is, how do you feel about your commitments? How do you really feel about being committed in this relationship? How do you really feel about how you have set up your life and your lifestyle to mother your children? How do you really feel about the responsibilities that you have taken on? Are they in balance or out of balance with your mate? How do you really, really feel about this? This is the sun asking how you feel, because it's in the nakshatra Shravana, ruled by the moon. Now the sun is also asking us, how are you going to act upon this? And so since this is on a soul level, how do you feel about these responsibilities, these commitments? We're going to always look at the ego response in the Western, which is an Aquarius. And it's determined at this point to look at what everybody else thinks. Yeah, I might feel like it's really out of balance and I'm doing more than my mate, but everybody else thinks that's the way it should be. So That's what I'm going to do. And so that's sun energy, action. And action is based on our emotions, beliefs, attitudes, and thoughts. So that's all sun energy. Our attitudes are based on our behaviors, actions over a period of time, or observations that we've had in the physical world over a period of time. The attitudinal perspective is very useful to look at in the lunar astrology because it tells us what we have been developing emotionally over a period of time. And so since the sun is in Aquarius in the Western astrology, it's asking, what will other people think? It's asking, how will I get the support of other people? It's really wanting to connect with other people in a way that it will be respected, that it will be supported. And so that's already kind of a ball that's out of the park. It's a game that's already in play. And that is what is eclipsing the moon, which is really trying to bring closure to what it brought up from the solar eclipse. And what it brought up were these issues of insecurity around the family. And so the moon is still trying to ask that with this Cancer Leo. And here comes the sun saying, oh, but wait a second, we have Capricorn Aquarius energy here that's shining a light on this. But wait, it's shining the light on commitments and responsibilities and what other people think in order to release it. Capricorn is Ketu in the Sidereal, and it is the south node in Western astrology. Okay, remember, all of eclipses are based on where the sun and the moon meet on these nodes. Okay, and so it's always going to be nodal, whatever the nodes are in where the eclipses occur. This is what needs to be released. And so what needs to be released in order for us to be more mature, be more loving at home, enjoy ourselves at home, which is the North Node Rahu energy, Cancer Leo energy, is for us to, the sun is saying, the Shravana Capricorn, it's saying, Shravana is about a love of listening, a love of learning. Listen to your family members. Learn what it is that is motivating them, their attitudes, their behaviors. Step back and pay attention. Allow yourself to emotionally respond with Aquarius energy that considers the needs of everybody, not just how they can support you, but how there can be a win-win situation, how your unique gifts and talents and how you feel that you can be creative, just like that divine child, can be a win-win situation, that you can give people what they need and they can give you what you need in exchange. How can this work for the both of us? This is what the sun is saying as it eclipses the moon. It's saying, look at this ability. This ability is very creative listening. It's all about research. It's all about really getting to the bottom of things in your own unique way. You're enjoying listening. You're not taking it personal. You're shining that Leo light that was planted for us to look at during the total solar eclipse, that powerful Leo moon. So you are dancing with the celestial gods and goddesses as you are one. So you're listening not with insecurity of the Alesha nakshatra that the moon was in at that time, but you're listening with the Pusha nakshatra, the nakshatra that is a mature maternal energy. It is a maternal energy that is very confident. It is very diligent. It's devotional. It has high spiritual insight and knowledge. It is extremely nurturing, so much so it has to be careful. It has to learn to be self-protective. It's so abundantly generous, and it actually is a font of feminine power and feminine wisdom. And so from the total solar, with the font of the masculine paternal wisdom of Leo, where the sun was in, we have the moon in this Pusha that is very childlike and loving, and that maternal, that mother that everybody loves, that relates to everyone, but is wiser than everyone as well. And so we are able to see that the moon being eclipsed by the sun with the lunar is saying, hey, let aspects of that Pusha energy, as lovely as it is, go with this Capricorn energy that researches and listens. Is it too much caregiving? Listen, your child is 17 now, they're not 7. They don't need the same type of attention, the same type of love. That needs to be shifted. Because if we are listening to Great Mother, and just even since August, she was telling us that ideas and meanings that we gave to situations and to people 10 years ago, 5 years ago, even a year ago, had us locked in an illusionary box with a time clock and an alarm that was automatically set to go off at some time. And it was time for us to look at that clock and look at how much time we had left, because we change. And that 7-year-old has changed, and the way that it needs to be nurtured has changed in accordance and in alignment with the way that you need to nurture in order for you to be in balance. There could be countless examples of how this release energy, this cosmic purge, could apply to your life. But particularly for empaths, sensitives, and intuitives, this total lunar eclipse is all about you allowing yourself to embrace what it is you believe in and who you believe in with confidence. This is the energy that is saying that you're doing that by taking risk, by following your heart, and by trusting your heart, regardless of how things appear. Because the shadow side that is being released, and the energetic support to release it, I should say, this is what we're focusing on, the energy that is supporting our evolution collectively. And we're going to do your individual readings as well. You'll look at your celestial collective consciousness and how this relates to your particular moon sign. But in this introduction, I wanted to let you know that this is all about, honoring your individuality as opposed to peer pressure. It's about really getting in tune with being who you are and releasing that aloofness, that feigned strength, that feigned confidence, that fake self-love. That's aloofness. Releasing all of that and allowing that vulnerability to be honored, as Maya was wanting to do in August. But Great Mother said, we're not ready for that yet. We need to look over here. What about over here with all these insecurities? And so this total lunar eclipse is saying, hey, we've been working with these insecurities consciously or unconsciously. The cosmic energy is supporting a purge of any and everything that has caused you to feel that way. So stop overlooking what's really going on. You don't have to be in denial anymore. You have the power. You have the power to listen and see what's really going on in your domestic life. And this is very important because it's the foundation for your physical life, for that Capricorn Aquarius moon to shine, with sun to shine rather, which is what this full moon sun is in, Capricorn Aquarius. Capricorn, that responsibility, that goat going up that hill. How are you using your time, your life, your relationships? On a soul level, how are you really connecting to people? Are they feeling it in the physical? Aquarius, that connection. Is it about what other people think, my public image, all of this kind of stuff? Or is it about how can what it is I came here to share with the world also be something that people need? how can I practically bring that into manifestation? By trusting that that's why I came here, trusting that the cosmos made sure that I had every possible resource and then some to be able to actually do that sun energy, the full moon, do. So you have it, and you have the ability, you have the insights, and you have the receptivity to incorporate what you hear in a way that will take you to a new evolutionary phase in your life. This is what this lunar energy is all about. Trust. Trusting. That primal trust in why you came here. And that in and of itself is sufficient for any and everything you could possibly ever need to sustain it. That kind of primal trust is what Great Mother is coming through, and she's saying that with that, there's no need to create a situation where you take power by abusing someone, or by scamming someone, or by being addicted to some substance, not because that's not something that you just won't do because you're above that, but because you have trust in your primal nature as a divine child. You don't need it, not that there's any judgment or anything like that, but you don't need it. And the harmonious collaboration with the cosmos that allows us to work with these energies is a free will choice we all have to make. And by making that choice, we enable ourselves to embody and to experience not only our divinity, but the divinity of others by respecting their cosmic calculus as well as ours. You have your own moon sign, and I can't do each nakshatra, which would be even more specific than the readings that you receive. That would be 3 readings per moon sign, but you can see just by the 12 zodiac moon signs that are uploaded how different we are. Where we are in our journeys are different. We never have enough information to judge anyone anyway. And this harmonious collaboration allows us to activate these supportive energies consciously in our lives, and for us to relax in our God and Goddess powers and our God and Goddess identities in ways that we haven't yet to even imagine. I'm still just so excited about it and learning about it and sharing all about it. So I hope you've enjoyed the intro. It's a lot of information, but you're going to get even more in your total lunar eclipse moon sign reading. Thanks for watching, sharing, and liking as you see fit. And as always, above all, Great Mother loves you, and I do too.
Great Mother speaks.
I am Great Mother, Holy Spirit, Yin, Divine Mother, Cosmic Womb, Deep Space, the Moon.